Ooh! We can't help but smile like a little bitch.
Cali, you're the same Cal that's comes to poker night, right? 10,000 pine points to you. Cal's a really nice guy. In fact, he's single, looking for love in all the wrong places by coming to my poker nights on Wednesdays and Sundays. Well, Sundays is not mine. That's more the street epistemology crew, but it's turned out to be mostly PineCreek crew. And I started a new channel called PineCreek Poker. I just started it last night. It looks horrible. There's no videos yet. But who knows? There might be special treats in store for you if you subscribe. No, there'll be no treats. We will beat you until your morale improves. 5,000 pine points to Chris Carolan. Carolan? That's a new name. I don't think I've ever seen you here before. Welcome. And the 5,000 pine points, once you hit a million, you get an all-expense paid vacation to the Tropicana Casino and Spa in the luxurious Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City, which is appropriate for atheists like me. So I wish you the best in getting the million. Genuinely curious. Dang, no, you're here. 1,000 pine points, and Ryan is the biggest loser. I mean, all the kids teased him when he was a kid, and that's why he turned out the way he is today. He's full of debauchery. He's full of chicanery. He's surreptitious in all his ways. Fathers, if you have young daughters, keep them away from Ryan. You do not want your daughters near him. But Ryan, you can stay. I will allow it. How are we doing today? Asked Zachary. Well, funny you should ask. About a week ago, is it a week? I was on Digital Gnosis' stream, Nathan's stream, and I noticed I had a headache, and it got worse and worse. And I took my blood pressure live on camera. It's his 11 hour stream, and I don't know where it is in the stream. It's probably, I don't know, hour 9 or something. And it was my blood pressure was 170 over 110, and I was sitting like this. My resting heart rate was like 115. And I go, this is not right. And so I immediately got off the stream, laid down, drank water, and said to myself, if it doesn't get better in the next, 10, 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to check myself in emergency. And it didn't get better. And the problem is, once you realize that your blood pressure is high, you start to worry about your blood pressure being high, and it goes even higher. It didn't go higher, but it didn't get lower. So I checked myself in emergency, which is ironic because we were talking about the healthcare system in the United States during that stream. And I'm not saying that every hospital, every emergency room is the way mine was, the one closest to my house. But I was in and out in about 2 hours. I had EKG, measures the heart. My heart was fine, was perfect. Well, at least according to the EKG. I had a CT scan to look at my head. Fine, no problems. I had an x-ray done on my chest. Fine, no problems. I had a full blood work done. Well, full for them, I guess. Not, you could always add other things. Fine, nothing wrong in my blood except one thing. I had another test. I had 4 tests. And I got all the results back within 30 minutes. What was the 4th test? CT, EKG, CT, X-ray. Did I say X-ray? Yeah, X-ray chest, head, CT head, blood work. And all the test results came back fine, except my salt was high and I was dehydrated, which is weird. Well, it's not weird. But in Arizona, you got to keep hydrated. So anyhow, they said, go home. You're fine. Just lower your salt intake. And the thing is, Nathan, he thinks that the meat diet, is bad for you. But he's right in the sense that I salt a lot of my foods and I got to stop that. But I know there's going to be some Canadian people listening to this, and I'm going to say something that will bother you. But I think I'm right when I say this. And I'm not saying this is everywhere in the United States, but I think that would have never happened in Canada, where I can go in, get 4 tests, results within 30 to 45 minutes. I mean, that's unheard of in Canada. If anybody's has gone to the emergency room in Canada and had that great a service, you let me know. Hunter Biden's laptops. Thanks for the donation. What's up, heathens and believins? Doug, I'm so glad to see you looking well. Yeah, I feel today is actually much better. I went golfing. So, I'm not that bad when I can go golfing, but the golfing was good because I sweat out all the salt. No, I don't think there's sodium in sparkling ice. I have a bottle right here. Let me see. Is there sodium in sparkling ice? Zero. Sparkling ice rocks. But they still won't sponsor me. Actually, I drink a lot of vitamin water. Let's see if there's any sodium in there. Zero. So yeah, all my sodium I think comes from salting my eggs and meat, which I've decided not to stop doing. So basically, I will stop enjoying my food because I don't eat sugar. Well, I can still have pepper and I guess a little bit of Tabasco. I can still go spicy, right? My dad has low blood pressure. Yeah, I have a feeling that as I age, my blood pressure will go down. I have a lot of uncles who their heart will stop and their resting heart rate so low, and then it'll start up again. Well, I should say pause. Their heart rate pauses for a long time. Wyorton, Ontario hospital is always real fast, in and out, because most people go to the bigger own. Yeah, I guess a lot of it's based on just how busy you are. But the thing in Canada is, I think there are fewer hospitals per capita than the United States. Someone can fact check me on that. But by the way, the room is open for Theist Thursday. But I'm not, okay, someone has to hold me accountable. What time is it right now? It's 10:30, my time. Don't let me go past 12:30, okay? Like someone here say, if you're still here after 2 hours, say, Doug, get off now. And I'm also going to keep, when the Theist calls in, unless you're amazing, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, David, you're here. Welcome. No, it's no sodium, Keith, on those drinks, if that's what you're asking. LB says, I'm in Saskatchewan. Not true. Took my son to the ER and they did scans the same day. Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. Only if need to be referred to specialists. Okay, we got Ed. I better mute Ed just in case he's a... Hey, Ed. How are you? I'm doing better today. Okay.
So, yeah.
Did you have something you want to talk to me about?
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about Islam.
Okay.
I'm a Muslim.
You're a Muslim? Okay.
Yeah. So, I wanted to talk to you about how do you see the connection between different religions. Like, did that play a part in your moving away from Christianity?
I know where you're going with this, Ed. I think I do. You want me to know that Islam is special and nothing like Christianity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard this many times before. But let's see if we can agree on the similarities first. They both have books that claim divine revelation, correct?
Yeah, that's partly true, but
Okay. No buts.
Islam has
Let's be a team here together and just nothing but agreement. Let's see if we can
Okay.
let's find agreement. So we are agreed that they both have books that claim divine revelation. Do we agree that they both have? It's probably a bad term, but I'm going to say front men. A front man meaning, you got a band and then you got the lead singer, the front man that everybody sees. They both have a front man. With Christianity, it's Jesus. With Islam, it's Muhammad, right?
Yes.
They both have many people who actually wrote things down over decades and then compiled a book.
Yes.
Right. What else do they have in common? They both claim that the God is omnipotent, omniscient, creator of the universe. He's the moral foundation and foundation for everything, right? Except for maybe
True.
evil. Okay. So that's what Christianity and Islam have in common. What's the differences you want me to know?
And the difference is that Islam claims that it is the revelation is not an inspired one, meaning the authors in Christianity were the ones who write, they were human authors, whereas in Islam it was verbally passed on and then remembered, like memorized, and then recorded.
Okay, so you're saying the difference is with Christianity, it's not, the inspiration is a little different, or a lot different. The inspiration in
Yes.
Christianity is God kind of moves people to write certain things, but with Islam, it's more of a dictation.
True.
Okay. But for me, I'm still left with the problem of why think a God is behind it at all?
Well, I think that is more of a faith question, right? I mean, for theists, it will always be like they have to believe in certain foundational existence, like you do with universe.
Yeah.
And and what Muslims believe is that there's something behind the wheel, something beyond our intellectual capacity or intelligence.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. That's sort of like the precept type of argument. And I actually find that there's a lot of similarities between Muslims and precept Calvinist Christians, that it's like this foundation that I was mentioning in my monologue earlier. Do you think it's possible for a God to exist and Islam false?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So what makes you think that the God out there is reflected in Islam and maybe all the religions of the world are wrong?
Well, the first thing is, as I said, the revelation and the preservation of the book, the message, which is essential, of course. And then of course, there are a lot of things. I won't go into, of course, scientific argument. There is nothing. It's not a scientific book.
Okay,
But
but
then
how did the first thing you mentioned is the revelation?
Yeah.
How do you know the revelation is actually from God?
Well, kind of faith-based.
And what do you mean by faith?
So I believe that if there is a God and humans are a special creation of God, then that God must inspire, like send down some message. In Islam, that message is of monotheism
So you're
and
saying faith is
not
just
worship.
believing the claim, just believing?
Yeah, but the believing the claim that we should not worship earthly things, and we should not be
Yeah,
totally
I'm not so
indulged into.
right now my question is more about the epistemology and not so much the content. Like to be honest, I couldn't care less about what Islam teaches.
Mm.
But how you made the claim that God dictated the Quran, and I'm asking, how do you know that? And you said by faith, and I asked, what is faith? And you said basically just believing this must be the case.
Yes, I mean,
It's not very convincing, right?
yeah, it's not a convincing argument for hyper. I mean, if you are like you're really skeptical, like you have to assume, have to have certain
Actually, that's
assumptions.
interesting. Do you view me as really hyper skeptical?
I view you as a quite skeptical person, like someone who, because you already, of course, you were a Christian, right? And then you left that Christianity, and your wife's still a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean to say that this
Because
means that you did look into your scripture and everything, and then you figured out, no, this is not from God. This couldn't be from God, and then you said that, well, then why believe in the God in the first place? And then you moved on from
yep,
that, right?
yep,
So this requires skepticism. If you were like
right. I
not
understand, but
skeptical.
you're. My guess is you and I are just as skeptical. Like I'm very skeptical that Jesus Christ is one person of the Trinity and rose from the dead. And my guess is you're skeptical that's true, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And there's something called a religion called Mormonism, which is an offshoot of Christianity, and it believes that God revealed himself to a guy named Joseph Smith, and there's many claims in there. I'm skeptical about all that too. And I think you are too, right?
Yes.
And I'm also skeptical that a man went in a cave and saw an angel and heard the very words of God. I'm very skeptical of that. Are you?
Mhm. Well, yeah, but the thing is that for that particular, okay, so uh, for that particular claim, since um, that claim is not like uh, this person is the only person, this person also claims that revelation has been coming from God from eternity, like since the
Yeah, I
very beginning of
understand.
human
I
beings.
understand. But like you're saying that this revelation exists in the New Testament, the Old Testament, maybe some other texts, I don't know. Uh but if you're skeptical of, let's say, Christianity and the texts say that, why aren't you skeptical of the Quran?
Well, the message, I mean, you won't like the answer, but the message kind of moves me.
Ah. No,
Yeah.
I actually like that answer. To me, I think that's the best answer you can give. That Islam gives you something. It gives you this moving. It gives you a reason to live, a way to live, hope, uh, explanation. It gives you a ton of stuff, right?
Yes.
Comfort, even. So, I think that's the best answer any religious person can give, because I really don't think you have anything else.
Yeah, but content-wise, we do have, right?
Content wise, you have what?
Like the preservation.
The preservation. Yeah. See, number one, I'm not convinced that the preservation is there.
Okay.
I'm quite sure it isn't. I'm sure you can find different Qurans, and I know all the arguments, but that's not the real Quran, and oh, that was, but the real Quran is this, and if you get a bunch of the real Qurans together, they'll all match and it's perfectly preserved. Number one, I don't buy that. Number two, even if it were true, that doesn't mean it's from God.
Yeah, but that adds to credibility, right?
Not necessarily. I could write something completely false. I could write something that says Islam is false, and then I can, that can be preserved. That message about Islam is false and why, for hundreds, even thousands of years. Would you say, oh, well, what Doug wrote has credibility because it's been preserved and passed down consistently?
Yeah, I agree. But here, what I mean is perhaps I didn't clarify it. If God sends a message, let's say, and it's not preserved, then that reduces the credibility. If God sends a message and it's preserved, then it increases the credibility.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but then you're getting into the mind of God and saying that he even desires for it to be preserved. What if this God actually doesn't care?
Then why send it in the first place?
Yeah, that's true. So you're presuming that he sent it in the first place and that, well, do we have the actual originals of the Quran?
I was looking into history and we found a Birmingham manuscript. It's placed in Birmingham. It was found somewhere, and it has been dated to. It's just few parchments. It's not the.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is that the originals of the Quran from start to finish we don't have. We have some pieces.
Yes.
Well, to me, if a God wants to preserve his word, he'd preserve the originals.
Yeah, but
that would lend credibility.
Yeah, but he didn't preserve it in the form of a book that is on paper, but in form of a tradition that everyone memorizes and is passed down to different people.
I know, but to me, this God would have more credibility if he actually preserved it in written form. So, because people can make mistakes when they're in their memory, but if you write it down once, that doesn't change unless someone actually takes an eraser and changes it.
That's true.
Anyhow, how old are you, may I ask? Are you a young Muslim, old Muslim? You sound young.
I'm 36.
You're 36. Okay. You're married?
Yeah.
Have kids?
No.
Okay. Are you in North America?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's not too many Muslims in North America, right?
True.
Do you have a large community of Muslims that you go to mosque with?
Yeah, there is.
What would happen if you left Islam? What would that community think of you? What would they say or do?
Well, my world would collapse.
Your world would collapse? What do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I don't know what I do. Where would I go?
That's a big motivation to stay in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's partly how I left Christianity. I was willing to give up my whole community in pursuit of the truth. Aren't you glad I left Christianity? Because it's false, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And it not only is it's false, but if Islam is true, it's probably the worst religion in the world as far as idolatry. Worshipping a man as God.
True.
Yeah. So you should be applauding me for leaving Christianity.
Yeah, I mean.
And someday I'll applaud you when you leave Islam. And don't worry, you'll find not everybody in your community will leave you, and you'll make new community. You'll still have hope, meaning, and purpose, but it'll be just different.
Okay. Anyways,
You're very
done.
nice. You're a very nice guy, Ed. I appreciate your civil manner.
Thank you.
Take care.
I enjoy you too.
Thanks.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye.
That was fun. That was nice. That was very, very nice, as my grandmother would say. Room's open. You gained a whole new community with your PineCreek channel. Yeah, true, Zachary. Yeah, Ed was nice and very honest. How long was that? That was like 10 minutes, right? That's a good time frame for conversation. Can Muslims just stop practicing but not become an apostate? You mean like a backslidden Muslim? Yeah. Am I addicted to poker? Oh, yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Doug, and I'm a poker addict. I'm staying hydrated today, so forgive all the drinking. You know, I was looking at videos to talk about today if nobody calls in, and there's nothing. I mean, apologetics is getting boring to me. It's like I used to tie half my brain behind my back when doing counter apologetics, but now like I'm up to 90% of my brain I can just tie up, not use. Don't need it. Don't need to. It's just so boring. Same things over and over again. Same types of people who will never ever change their mind, and they just need it for the hope, meaning, and purpose. Politics is where it's at now. Yeah, unfortunately. But I don't want to get into politics, but I just want to, my one frustration with politics, and I'm talking to a lot of people here in this live stream, and you can disagree with me, that's fine. But I think on many, many issues, people think it's a matter of correct, being right or being wrong, having the facts or not having the facts. But I'm here to tell you that I don't know what the percentage is, but a lot of the time, it's not about that at all. It's about value systems. It's about preferences. And once you understand that, you can lean right and get along with people on the left. You can lean left and get along with people on the right. Once you understand that. But if you come from the mindset, how can that person think that way? They must be lacking this piece of information. Now, maybe that's true, but in a lot of cases, people can look at the same information, interpret it the exact same way, and feel, feel's the right word for it. They feel differently about it. For some people, they see an issue and they become so passionate. And when they talk about it to another person who doesn't have that same level of passion, they think, oh, they are wrong. No, they just don't share your passion, your values on certain things. Please, like the advice I just gave you, I think is good, especially if you want to actually get along with people. And this applies to religion as well. Like Ed there, I understood him. I don't think Ed left here today saying, oh, if only Doug understood this, what I was saying, he didn't get it. He didn't. No, I understood. I repeated back what he said. I got what he said. But I just disagree. I think it's more likely that no God exists and definitely has nothing to do with the Quran. Thanks for the donation, Zachary Lehochi. Lehochi. Perhaps your blood pressure went up due to chronic boredom. You may need to find something new. In any case, I'm glad you're feeling better. Well, I have this channel, and I just created the PineCreek Poker channel, and maybe I'll create PineCreek Politics. Get the PP thing working. Not my PP thing working, the letters. My PP works fine. Well, not as good as it used to. Why am I saying this? But thanks for the donation, Zachary. What do you mean value? Asked Ethio. Well, for example, some people value the concept of authority. Someone who lays down the law, says what he means, doesn't, do the nuance thing. So when I think of that, I think of George W. Bush. And for those of you who are old enough to remember, he would say things like, well, you might not agree with me. This is George W. Bush speaking. You might not agree with me, but at least you know exactly where I stand. He said that many times. These are people who value authority like that type of speech. Whereas people who value detail and nuance, they don't like that so much. In fact, those are the type of people who will hate Trump. Even if Trump was a man of moral character, you would still hate him because he leans that way, that authoritarian type style. What are other types of value? Of fairness. Fairness is another value. And if you naturally feel strong empathy, actually a better word is compassion. If you naturally feel compassion for people, which is not always good, by the way, you will lean left. If you lean towards mercy and compassion, you will lean left, at least on a lot of issues. If you lean towards more of justice and order, you will lean right. If you are a soft love person, meaning you see someone hurting, your first instinct is to give them a hug and just be there for them, you most likely lean left. If you are the type of person who say, I can fix your problem, let me help, but you don't give a hug, you probably lean right. These are not right or wrong ways to deal with life. These are just differences in people, and we need each other. Sometimes you need a person to give another person a hug, and sometimes you need a person to say, grow up, stop your whining and complaining, pull yourself up. Sometimes you need that, right? Anyhow, who got me? I blame Jamie for getting me on politics. And a lot of it also has to do with age. As you get older, you start to see these things. Order does not equal justice. Never said it did. Room's open for theists, by the way. Have I invested in Datadog? No. The older you get, the more conservative. Yeah, I think the Pew polls bear that out, especially if you have kids. PineCreek Politics channel isn't a bad idea. Yeah, maybe I'll do it. We'll see. Yeah, true enough. GGS, as you move up in the tax bracket, you also are less likely. Well, there's on the left, it's bimodal. People like the billionaires, well, I don't know what the percentage is. Well, definitely not billionaires, but if you get really high in earnings, I think you might lean more left. But the middle people, let's say upper middle, like I don't know, 50 to 100 to $250,000, probably more right-leaning people in that bracket, and then people under 50,000, definitely more left-leaning. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, but it's there's more. Some theists call in so we can stop talking about politics. I lean towards having their basic needs met and lessening suffering. Well, isn't that nice? But the argument can be made that by how you do it is what's important, and that you can actually do more harm than good depending on how you do it. Everyone is fiscally conservative when it comes to their own money. When dealing with other people's money, that's when people change. Yeah, you can take someone who leans pretty far left and get them to start their own business, have employees, and you'll find in many cases they'll start to lean right, especially if they become successful. Yes, coffee is a problem. 0125 AR. I've cut down my coffee because of that. Coffee's a double whammo. It's a stimulant and it's a very severe diuretic. So is nicotine. So I've cut my nicotine down, but nicotine is not as bad a diuretic as coffee. I would, but I'm at work. I've called before, and Doug admitted he would have to believe in God if biblical cosmology, flat earth dome, is true. Well, I said it's definitely more likely. Peter Boghossian was great for that. Asked university students if they'd give up grade points to others who weren't doing as well. Yeah. No, I do not smoke. I just take nicotine gum. Does God prefer a fallen Adam to an obedient one? Donald McDonald. Some theists might, or Christians or Jews might look at that question and think that's a stupid question, but that's a great question. One can make the argument that God does prefer a fallen world because, especially Christians, I've heard Christians say this, without a fallen world, you couldn't really know who God is through the person of Jesus. There'd be no need for Jesus to come to earth if there was no fallen world. There'd be no sins to save us from our sins. Which is kind of weird, right? And Muslims have this problem too. Why would God create knowing that there'd be so much disbelief that something he hates? He loves to forgive. Both Yahweh and Allah love to forgive, but they hate the sin that they're forgiving. Actually, some Christians don't believe that Yahweh loves to forgive. What do I think of nationalism, Doug? I'm actually curious what others here in the chat think of it. It's not all bad. Like I get very uneasy saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Like I think you can go too far. I'm definitely against theocracies, so Christian nationalism I don't like. But I don't think there's anything wrong with cheering for the Denver Broncos. In the same way, there's nothing wrong with cheering for your own country. There's nothing wrong with saying your country is great in your opinion, and other countries should be like yours. But then you have to be very careful that you admit its faults and weaknesses. Favorite atheist channel currently? I don't watch them. Sorry. Sorry, atheists. Switch over to smokeless tobacco. You mean like chewing tobacco? No, that's disgusting. If spreading disinformation about the Bible causes Christians to actually research the Bible, would you be in favor of it? Nah. I'm not like the Apostle Paul, who said that even when people do things for bad reasons, or just as long as the gospel gets spread. No. I'm a man of integrity, not like the Apostle Paul. By the way, the older I'm getting, the more I'm really convinced, and this is really going to bother Christians, that Paul and Peter, probably the two biggest names in Christianity, were liars. And they did it for the money. And I just did that video of Ananias and Sapphira. I mean, it looks so shady, that Ananias and Sapphira story about, oh yeah, God judged you because you withheld money. No. Peter and the boys took them out. They killed them. If the story is, if they died, if that part of the story is true, if, I tell you, isn't it way more likely that Peter and the boys took them out? Oh, I mean, it's over at that point. You cannot be a Christian if what I said is true. You're just like, you're done. And yet that's the more likely explanation. And then Paul talks about how, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm not doing it for this money. Thou protestest, thou doth too much. That tells you that even back then in the first century, people were suspicious of Paul. What is the most difficult theistic argument for you to counter? I think the cosmological one is, it preys on your intuitions, because humans are terrible at dealing with the very, very small and the very, very big. And our universe is very, very big, very, very, very old. And so that whole idea of that first miracle, that our universe started expanding and forming planets and evolution, and that we're here, sentient beings. That's probably the best argument for an idea of some type of deistic creator God, because it is based on your intuitions of life. But your intuitions on stuff like that is very untrustworthy. Bread of Life, is Bread of Life an atheist channel? I remember you saying learning by reading books is inefficient. How did you learn your stuff, especially the academic parts as a student? Well, what I said is, learning books, meaning cover to cover, is inefficient. I think you should go topical. So in other words, even watching my live streams is inefficient, because some of them are 4 hours long, right? You go to the timestamps, you say, oh, this looks interesting. You start watching it, and if it's interesting, you keep watching. If it's not, go to a different timestamp, and none of the timestamps are interesting, don't watch. That's how you should treat a book. You look at the chapters, you look, okay, do I have a need? What's my need? What's the problem I'm trying to solve? Or what's the entertainment I'm after, or whatever? Go to that chapter. Now, if you're looking for fiction and you're just doing it for all entertainment, then yeah. But no book has actually ever entertained me enough to read from cover to cover. Have I ever heard of Kat Kerr? I don't think so. The first premise of the Kalam is wrong. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Well, yeah, I agree with that, Simply Secular Dave. But I'm just saying that the whole idea of existence of us is pretty amazing. I think every atheist agrees with that. That all those chain of events for billions of years had to take place for me to talk right now. That's pretty amazing. No, I don't think that gets you closer to a God, a mindless, a bodiless mind. No, that's where the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews get it wrong. I mean, like, oh, okay, that's a better explanation? No. Given that this has become so boring, do you still care what people actually think, or do you just accept that theists will just die with their crazy beliefs? I actually do think there's a channel called Atheism is Unstoppable. I think it's gone now, right? But I think the name of that channel was correct. I think 500 years from now, there'll be far fewer theists in the United States than today. And some people say, no, what if we get a major natural disaster? That will change things. People will go back to God. No. We saw that with COVID. COVID caused more people to leave. Well, that's because they didn't have their community. Okay, so you're admitting you need a bubble in order to stay in it. If all animals were the same size, which would win in a fight? Oh, Wolverine. Wolverine? Yeah, Wolverine would be a good one. But what is that? There's another one in the Wolverine family. Muskrat? No. There's some really scrappy animals out there. Another interesting question is, what's the biggest animal do you think you could kill with your bare hands or, fend off? It's hard. You can't say dog because there's so many different sizes of dogs. There's some dogs that would just tear me to bits. But there's, of course, a little toy poodle I could, no problem. Honey badger? Yeah, badger. I think that's what I was thinking of, badger. They're scrappy. A badger is like, I think some Calvinists, some precepts are like badgers. They're just scrappy. They don't care what's happening around. They just like attack everything. And it would have to be an adult animal. Like, what's the largest adult animal that I could take down and subdue? I think I could take Kenny. Like, I was golfing and there was a bobcat on the golf course. And I don't know, it was about like, I don't think I could take that bobcat. I think if it attacked me, I think it's quicker than me. Its jaw is probably stronger than me. Like, could I keep his jaw? I think, well, maybe I could. I don't know. Next week, we'll try it out. Come back next Thursday. It'll be me versus Bobcat. Oh, a bear. Oh, full-grown black grizzly bear. Man, if a full-grown grizzly bear was coming out at me and I had a gun, like a shotgun, I don't know if I would use it on myself or the bear. Because if you don't kill the bear in that one shot, and if you just like shoot it on the side, I don't think it's going to make a dent. You need a high-powered rifle. Because you do not want to die from a bear. Shotgun's way better. Why are we talking about this? Who brought this up? Stop it. Thanks for the donation, Calvin Rogue. Do you think Calvinism is the most accurate literal interpretation of the Bible? And have you heard of Professor Dave? Yes, I've heard of Professor Dave. He's the science guy. He does a lot of topics, right? The most accurate. It's the easiest. It's I've used the word consistent. There is no accurate interpretation in the Bible, because you can find scriptures for opposing views and defend it well. There's scriptures that show that Calvinism is clearly false, and there's scriptures that show that Calvinism is clearly true. However, Calvinism is, I think, with the problem of evil and suffering, you just say, yeah, God created evil. God knew it would happen, and deal with it. It's like apathetic type theology. That my God's a schmuck, and so what? I brought it up? Zachary, don't use my words against me. But no, someone else said something about animals that made me think of that. So I'm going to take the causal link, and blame someone else, because I don't take personal responsibility anymore. Yeah, B.S. Lewis. No theists call in because there's none left. I've eliminated all of them. See, I really don't care if they call in or not. It doesn't matter to me. You're welcome to. If you're a theist listening, know that I'm not going to go 4 hours. So if you want to come in soon. Thanks for the donation, Lawrence. If Earth has the only life in this universe is God, is God more plausible to you? You know what? I think a little scotch, yeah. Just a scotch. That doesn't mean it will turn my belief switch on. When doing the fire napkin thing, do you think it would help if you also cite Judges 6, Gideon and the fleece miracle to shut down you don't test God objection? Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I should start doing that. Because there's a lot of examples in the Bible that look exactly like what I'm doing. Did Islam influence Calvinism? You know what? I think so, Mojo. I think Calvinism came after Islam, right? So it would be Islam affecting John Calvin. I'll never retire, Zachary. Get ye behind me, Satan. Retirement is a sure way to die. And I'm not ready to die just yet. Are you still thinking about paying theists to come on? I'm actually thinking of you guys paying theists to come on. I think that's better. Why use my money when I can use yours? Yeah, good idea. Let's see if there's any. Maybe all the theists are gone. We've got 327 people. Happy birthday to whoever's birthday it is. Are you a theist? Are you a theist? Yes. No. Did not watch Dragons in Genesis podcast. Okay, good to know. Rook and Pawn. Yeah, it's always hard to know what came first. The chicken or the Muslim. I mean, the chicken or the egg. Which apologist would you least like to be cast on a desert island with? Ray Comfort. Are you a liar yet? Have you ever told a lie, Doug? Come on, Ray. Tell you, Ray Comfort is one of the biggest goofballs. I judge all New Zealand because of Ray Comfort. Me and my wife, we wanted to go there to New Zealand, and we changed our minds. Are you listening, the tourist people in New Zealand? You need to take away his citizenship. He's costing you tourist dollars. Which apologist is the most boring one? The most boring one? The ones I never watch. So, I don't know. Of the ones I've watched? Oh, anything to do with philosophy. Capturing Christianity is one of the most boring channels on the Christian planet. We have 100 arguments for God. Oh, this week we got 110. Come back next week, we'll have 200. I mean, And you can see it in his views. Like, he has over 100,000 subs and he gets lower views than me. So yeah. Cameron Bertuzzi, you're boring. What do you think are good effects Christianity has had on the world and society? Oh, its greatest strengths is also its greatest weaknesses. So it can serve as a foundation for some type of morality, but that can be abused and then people die. Some say that Christianity that the Enlightenment had some roots in Christianity. That's probably true, but it also had it in other things too. If you believe that there's a God and that the laws of nature are uniform, which some Christians believe, actually most do, then you can now investigate things. But then the church really slowed down some parts of science. It's always a give and take. Should churches retain tax-exempt status? No. No, 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 no. Well, let me caveat that. If the church is doing nothing but feeding the poor and the hungry and giving shelter and clothing, then yes. But if they're building like $10 million churches and just putting on shows every Sunday, no. Yeah, music, good point. Craig Bradford. Christianity contributed a lot to art and music. Like, you go to Europe today and you look at some of those old churches. I haven't been, but apparently it's great. If you go into my room in my house here, I don't even have a dresser. I just have one bed. By the way, celebrated 29 years of marriage this past weekend. Secret to success is separate rooms, people. If you're a young married person listening right now, you look at your spouse and say, we need separate rooms. Because I want to be married to you for 30 more years, at least. And then after your wife cries, then get your separate rooms. My wife didn't cry. Hey, Jeff, it's good to see you. You work in the financial industry. You are upper middle class. Well, thanks for letting me know what my... Thanks for being my accountant. My wife and I celebrated 9 years. Novice. Rookie. If you haven't been married 10 years, you're a rookie. takes at least 5 years to actually realize that all your expectations when you got married were wrong. And then you got to form new ones. No stock tip channel. How am I invested? Cash and real estate. And gold. Went out in the desert and I buried some. And when I buried my gold in the Arizona desert, I used my phone to get the GPS coordinates for where I buried it so I wouldn't lose it. And then I got a lottery ticket and I put those numbers, the coordinates on the lottery ticket and hung it on my fridge. I shouldn't have told you that, because now if you come to my house and look at my fridge, you'll see where my gold's buried. Should churches tell people who God wants them to vote for? No! Oh, that bothers me. Even when I was a Christian, that bothers me. Hey, you pastors, shut up. If you're claimed to be a church of God and preach the word of God and blah, 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 don't say, oh, by the way, so-and-so is a great candidate for office, vote for that. No. Separation, church and state. Without children, would your marriage survive? Yes. Because my wife is not crazy. She's stable. We don't fight. And we make a good team. We balance each other. Does separate beds accomplish the same thing? Me and my man hit 10 years in June. Do you have separate beds, Waffles, or not? Do you believe in evolution did I believe in evolution as a Christian? When I was really, really young, no, but as I got older, yes. Like as soon as I started to learn science. My parents, are not, although we've never, ever talked about it. Is it a sin to be attracted to a woman if you're a single man? No. Even those Christians who live by the Spirit are attracted to people other than their spouse. They won't admit this, but they are. Well, maybe some will admit that. I gotta look at the poll results. We got 12%. That's the same as last time. So we got like at least 35 theists in here right now. At least. Most of you are scared phonies, so you don't want to participate in the poll because that would give the atheist YouTube creator some type of credibility, and so therefore you're just sitting back and just watching this fool talk. I get you. I understand you. Will you talk to DD again, or is he too senile now? He can call in right now if he wants. But there's nothing that we can talk about that already has been said a million times. If you took the journey to leave Christianity, did the whole world change? ABD become greater with a much longer past? Don't understand. Scientology, now that's the religion for the stars, for really rich people. it costs like a lot of money to move up those levels, right? Like Christianity beats Scientology there. Like it's just 10%. Yeah, Tom Cruise, call in. Hey, Mr. Beast, you call in. Give me $100,000. Start donating to atheist channels. Thinking you are better than others is a form of insecurity. Not if you're right, Edward Art. That's maybe honesty. But it depends, like, in what... Like, I'm better than my wife at math. That's just the fact. She would agree with that. No question. Does that mean I'm insecure? And she's better than me at English and writing. That's a fact. She said that publicly. Does that make her insecure? Getting back to politics, that's another thing that separates left from right a lot of times. It's the willingness to say things that seem harsh. Like, for example, some cultures in the world are hideous, in my opinion, terrible. And they could learn a lot of things from the American culture. Now, if you have a knee-jerk reaction against that, you probably lean left. If you can listen to those words I just said and say, yeah, of course, Doug, that's just common sense. There's some really bad cultures out there, and they could learn things from the American culture. But please don't learn the bad things. If that's a response, then you're a more balanced person. Who's the better dancer? Oh, probably my wife now, because I blew out my knee dancing in the 80s. Thanks for the donation, Roger Wenzel. Faithful supporter of this channel. He knows where it's at. He's been around. He's not like you young goofballs listening right now. Look at him. Look at his picture. You can tell. Overalls, beard. He knows how to chop wood. He knows how to change the oil in his own car. There's kids watching right now. They change oil? Like a car runs on oil? What are you talking about? I got a Tesla. Forgive me if it's too personal, but is your wife Christian? If so, how's your relationship? Congrats to 21st. No, it's 29 years, Jerome O'Mara. And yes, she is a Christian. She's a much better Christian than Kenny. Much more dedicated. Prays way more. Reads her Bible way more than Kenny. Knows way more than Kenny about Christianity. And our relationship is very, very good. We went to a very fancy resort. Had a very, very expensive meal. And then we thought about you guys here, like the people who watch my channel. We just scoffed at. They could never afford this. Those peasants. Actually, there's probably a lot of rich people watching right now. Those evil rich people. Check out Christ Jesus Ministries. Okay. I just do whatever Lawrence Brown says. Yes, leader, I will check out Christ Jesus Ministries. Thank you for the software patch yesterday, Lawrence Brown. Oh my, what do we got here? Oh my. What is this? Biochemist debunks Dr. Craig. PhD debunks National Geographic. Agnostic to young earth creationist Christian best arguments for God. PhD physicist debunks Bill Nye. Oh my. What's the About tab say? The calling of Christ Jesus ministry. Okay. That's clear. How much money does one have to have for you to consider them rich, PineCreek? $5 million. Is this a Seventh-day Adventist channel? Okay.
Okay, hosting episode 10 of season 4 of the Current Topics in Science podcast. This podcast will address breaking scientific news in light of the origins debate and host interviews with scientists. This podcast is available on the following platforms.
And that's kind of what you want
Whoa,
to try
back
and
up.
use restriction enzymes for, is cut the DNA at a specific place to get your vector into the right place in the host DNA.
Which theist has given you your best match? Well, I could take that many ways, like a good rapport back and forth, or as fast and witty as me. Is that what you mean? What sticks out in my mind is a great conversation I had with Stuart Conneckley, Cliff Conneckley's son. That was a very good conversation if you haven't seen it. I enjoyed my conversation with Trent Horn, or that debate. I wish we had a conversation. I wish you could call in. Even some of the conversations me and Mike Winger had. Like, Mike, although... Yeah, well, you can watch him for yourself. I'm not saying he's my match. No, he was willing back in the day, at least. He wouldn't back down. Never interviewed a monk or nun.
So, for example, in November, when I attended the evangelical...
Yeah, that's boring. Thanks for the donation, Noah Smith. What do you think someone like William Lane Craig would say to Christian deconverts falling to atheism rather than deism if the belief in God is so important? He would go straight to hell. He would talk about hell. Why are you risking everything to gain nothing? William Lane Craig is a scared little boy. He's scared of no meaning, no purpose, and no hope. He thinks he needs this religion to get that. And really, there's no difference between atheism and deism in William Lane Craig's view. If you're not a true Christian, everyone's going to hell. What would make you rethink religion again? If someone raised the dead, gave an amputee their limb back, or lit up my water-soaked napkin in the name of their deity. Kenny, do you want to stay on my channel? Do you want to have the ability to type things on my channel? Then don't do the crap you just did. I'd rather be hated than pitied. Don't pity me. You're free to hate me. It's my Dutch-German background. What hobbies do you and your wife share? Music. We used to, she plays piano and sings. I played saxophone. We used to do weddings and stuff like that. We were in a band called the Frozen Cowboys in Canada. And then, of course, church worship. How's my audio? Still good? Room's still open. Can't hate you, Doug. Not possible. Okay, but don't say crap like you said. Like, Doug looks lonely today. I'll ban you. I'll block you. That's the type of crap Peter W. said. I usually let it go for a long time, but I am human. I am not fully dead inside. This is another thing that bothers me. A lot of people say, Doug, you said you're dead inside. I still bleed, people. Frozen Cowboy sounds like a Texas Calvinist church. Have you seen William Lane Craig's recent interview where he says, even if there's a 1 in a million chance Christianity may be true, we should believe? Yes, I saw that. I did a video on it, didn't I? I did. Thought I did. Oh, yeah. This one.
When I first heard the message of the gospel as a non-Christian high school student, that my sins could be forgiven by God, that God loved.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. David says, hey, Doug, have you considered having a discussion with Jay Dyer? Jay Dyer, I'm not exaggerating. I've watched some of his stuff. He literally reminds me of smelling soured milk. His demeanor, everything about him is yucky. I use the word yucky on purpose. I mean, I don't hate people, usually, but he's an easy person to hate. He's just so, there's nothing good about him that a stranger would say, yeah, I want to get to know you. No, he's a terrible, he gives off a terrible persona. And not once have I ever heard him say something even remotely humorous, funny, complimentary. He's just like, he's going to grow up to be an old, bitter man. Maybe I will too, but at least I got some redeeming qualities. He has none. So there's your answer, David. You can let him know I said that too. What would I ask Trent Horn? Oh, I would continue the Flying Man because we couldn't finish it during the debate. But I would just want to have a conversation about consistency, what the religion really gives him. Thanks for the donation, Scotty. Keep it up. Well, I don't do dumbbells very often anymore, but actually I should. I wish you well. You should come to Islam. No desire to go to Islam. No need. I do not need Islam, and I do not need Christianity. I do not need Judaism. I have no need for it. Do you still talk to Mike Winger? No. He's banned me from his life. That was years ago. I got stuck in my diet. Uh-oh, Joshua, don't give up. Run the good race. Just realize you'll have plateaus. And every day, if you, let's say, eat too much, the next day, you just eat a little less or work out a little more. Still struggling with coping with being hungry. Is the answer just to cope with it or don't? Well, there's things you can like nibble on. Like a few nuts is what I do. Although nuts have... I got to get unsalted nuts now. Jay Dyer has some interesting mythological concepts. I couldn't care less what about mythological concepts. I like to live in reality, not myth. Would you join a religion if you liked the hat? As long as it's not white and pointy with 2 holes. Have you guys seen Django Unchained? There's a great scene of the KKK making fun of the hats, the masks.
Hey, Doug. How's it going, my friend?
I'm all right.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Cool. No, I'm just being facetious with you about that.
Well, that's what Peter said.
I don't want you to take that personal.
That's what Peter said, and he's gone.
No, I just seen you sitting there and wanting somebody to come on. That's why I said that.
Oh, I see. No, I was having fun. I really am okay if nobody calls in.
Okay. You
Yeah.
want me to leave?
Well, did you have a purpose of coming on? Or you just wanted
No,
to
I
keep me
just come
coming?
on. No, I just come on to say hi. I just wanted to ask you, did you get that? Are you going to get that
PO
post
box?
office box?
No, not if you're going to send me stuff.
Oh, come on, Doug. What if I wanted to send you gold or something?
Gold?
Yeah.
I'll take gold.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You
Hey,
never know what I'm going to send you.
Actually, I do have a question for you. Last time we talked, I remember in my memory bank, you said the phrase five-fold ministry.
Uh-huh.
What is that exactly?
That would be the prophets, apostles, teachers, evangelists, pastors.
Okay, so before October, whatever, when I'm going to be chosen, or I am chosen already, but when I realize I'm chosen, which one do you think I am?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. Well, I mean, if I guess, it would be an educated guess. It wouldn't be actually concrete. But I feel, that's a very good question. I have to think about that one for a minute.
Wait a minute, they have a test here.
I think possibly the teaching gift. I think that might be there.
Oh, I'm definitely a great teacher.
Yeah, I think the teaching gift's there, but usually that comes with the pastorate. Usually.
I need paper.
So perhaps both.
I am able to help others have fun and relax. I'm good at bringing people together. Yeah, that's me. I'm curious about a lot of things, enjoy learning new things. Yeah, I believe the church.
What's the test for? What's the test for?
Fivefold ministry test. Haven't you taken this test?
No.
Well, how do you know? How do you know what you are?
I'm sure that's a concocted test. But go ahead and read it.
Like, what are you? Are you a pastor, teacher, evangelist, prophet, or apostle? They spelled apostle wrong on the test.
You what?
They spelled apostle wrong on the test.
Oh, they spelled apostle wrong?
Yeah, they spelled it apostile.
That's my first red flag with it.
I'm sure you view yourself as a pastor, right? And a teacher?
No, not really. No, I think
well, you're a prophet because you said I'm chosen.
I feel more like a substitute teacher.
Oh, everybody hates substitute teachers, though.
Well, you know what the substitute teacher has a little bit of everything, right? So they can go in and cover the government class, and they can go in and cover the math class, but they don't really know a whole lot about any one thing.
You like to be a jack of all trades instead of a...
Yeah, so I like to just be available, whatever's needed type thing. I don't necessarily like people that walk around with titles, you know what I mean?
Oh, here's a good one. If I don't understand something, I spend time to figure it out. That is me. I remember, speaking of anniversaries, I think it was our second or third wedding anniversary. was studying for a standardized test, and there was one question I couldn't get, and I almost ruined our whole weekend at this resort because I was working on this problem.
I can believe that.
So
Surely.
stupid. Looking back, it's just so stupid.
29 years, you say? That's good. That's a pretty good term.
Yeah.
Say.
Separate beds, Kenny.
I've been at 33 years. So.
Oh, you must sleep separately with, right?
No, same bed.
Why do you do that to yourself?
Well, remember now we're on the same team.
Who, me and you, or you and your wife?
No, me and my wife are on the same team.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you have to knee each other in the gut when you turn over at night.
No, just put a partition between you. So you
well, you know what's a good partition?
Little screen.
A wall to another room.
No, a lot of people do that, and hey, whatever works. The way I see it.
To me, sleep is so valuable.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
My wife had the jiggy legs. You know what that is?
A what?
The jiggy legs.
Oh yeah, like what they call restless leg syndrome.
Yeah, when your iron gets too low,
mm-hmm.
you start to fidget more.
And that little bit can be just enough to keep you awake, can't it?
Oh yeah. I remember one night trying to sleep, and my wife was fidgeting around, and I felt like just grabbing her and holding her tight, like, stop moving. And then I realized, okay, need my own room.
Yeah, I think it's definitely mandatory king bed if you're gonna sleep together. I mean, I think that's mandatory.
A king bed?
Yeah, gives you enough room. But you get one of those beds, Doug, that one side don't affect the other. That where you see the glass of wine. But
I snore once in a while. I actually snore a lot less now that I've lost all the weight. But yeah, well, sometimes one of us has to get up to go to the bathroom. Why deal with all that? Just
it could be problematic, no doubt.
So I want you.
Are you one of them people that if you just wake up for a little bit, you stay awake?
And no, usually I can go right back to sleep. However, today I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep, and so I started working. That's a great thing about being self-employed. So I got a lot. I basically worked from 3 in the morning till just before I went live.
So you do everything online then? What's your job?
Well, on the computer, right. Yeah, and yeah, online. 90% of my clients I've never met.
I like that. Helps in a COVID environment for sure.
Oh yeah, it helps in any environment.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's harder to fight with people if you don't know them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm in the construction trade, so I go into individual houses all the time. So kind of the opposite.
Yeah. Well, that was a nice chat, Kenny.
Yeah.
See, isn't this better than talking about religion?
What's that?
Isn't this better than talking about religion?
Well, no, that depends, I guess.
No preaching, no theology, just two guys hanging out, right?
So can I ask you a question about your
Here it comes.
No, just about, you mentioned your wife earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Can you tell me at least what kind of church she goes to, or is that too much?
Yeah.
I mean, just a denomination.
I think it's non-denominational, but I could be.
You've never been there though, or?
I've been in the building, but I don't think I've ever listened to a sermon there because I was long gone before we moved in town here, so the other church was too far away.
Non-denominational.
But I could be wrong about that.
Good.
Let me see. I'm looking it up on Google Maps. Oh yeah, here it is. It is. It's called Grace, but almost all churches are called Grace nowadays.
They are, aren't they?
Because relationships matter. Authentic, engaging, relevant, and loving. And then they got a picture of a bunch of ladies holding hands and dancing.
What do you think of
They should have an about thing, like who we are, what we believe.
Right. Mission statement or whatever.
Man,
They probably got one hidden there somewhere.
They have to. I hope my wife's not in a cult.
Yeah, you better check in on things.
Oh, yeah. She is in a cult. It's a Christian church.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Strike one. So you don't know if it's like a charismatic or anything like
I
that
think
about
it's
it?
not really, but there are probably people who do raise their hands in church. Isn't that the biggest, like, if more than
Yeah, that's kind of an
if more than
indication.
10% raise their hands while worshiping, then that's
Yeah,
charismatic, right?
we could call it at least charismatic leaning, perhaps. So this is not obviously not a supper table conversation that you guys have about the church.
Oh, no, we don't talk about religion anymore. What do we believe? We believe God is the author of creation, one God in three persons, blah, 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 standard boilerplate stuff. Faith is personal, not private. We believe spiritual gifts. They believe in that. We believe created to exist forever, so they're not annihilationists. They believe the Bible is the Holy Scripture. Old and New Testament is the Word of God and the only perfect rule for faith, doctrine, and conduct. 2 Timothy 3:16. Free in Christ. Baptism is adult. They don't come out and say it that way, but they say a public profession of faith, which means adult baptism. We believe in the personal and imminent return of the Lord Jesus Christ. Oh, they don't get into pre-trib, mid-trib, or post-trib here. But my guess is they're pre-trib. So yeah, pre-trib, non-denominational, boilerplate Christianity. Non-Calvinist is my guess.
Pretty. Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty much the norm. Yeah, the American norm, so to speak.
My guess is you would approve of it.
Well, perhaps not.
But I don't think my wife wants me to go to church. You know why? Because I'd probably deconvert most of them.
Perhaps.
She knows I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Well, you know what I say about that. If you can't be challenged, then you might want to check the depth of your faith, right?
Exactly, yeah. People should not be scared to come talk to me.
No, absolutely not.
You're not scared.
No.
I need more people to be like you, Kenny.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I'm sure you believe that.
Well, no, in one sense I do, like, because you're not scared to talk to me.
Right. Well, I actually enjoy it.
Yeah, what's not to enjoy? Like, I'm affable, I'm lovable, I'm funny, I'm witty, I'm good looking. Like, what's not to like?
Right, but it does surprise me that you didn't know anything about that church, though. That does surprise me.
Well, I've never actually gone on their website before.
How long have you been going there, would you say?
It was after the flood of 79, before the harvest of 80. No, I'd say 2, 5, 6 or 7 years.
Wow, yeah, quite a while then.
I was invited to one of their picnics. And, oh, they're nice to atheists. Oh, so loved. It's like, hey everyone, look, there's Kath's husband. He's an atheist. He's a what? He's an atheist. No, get out. Yeah, he's an atheist. This will be very, very nice to him. Okay, I'll be on my best behavior. And then so that's what happens.
So if he's not an atheist, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if he's a Christian, treat him like garbage. But if he's an atheist, yeah, treat him well.
Make sure you pile on. That's funny.
Actually, here's a fun story. One of the first videos I made on my channel was on the topic of slavery, and I critiqued a pastor on it. And I titled it, Why I No Longer Go to Church, Sermons Like These. And so it's about, 30-minute video. Anyhow, this pastor that I critiqued lost his job. at the church that I was critiquing. Lost his job, was looking for work. And when you Googled this pastor's name, the first thing that popped up on Google was my video, Why I No Longer Go to Church, Sermons Like These.
Wow.
And so here the guy is looking for work. And when people Googled him, they found my video. So anyhow, he was local in the same city as me. He found out who I was, reached out to me, and threatened me with a lawsuit to take it down now. And I said, this is fair use. It was definitely fair use. I would bet 99% sure that any judge or jury would agree with me. Anyhow, he said, if you don't take it down, I'm going to sue you because I'm looking for work and you're causing my family harm. And then I started to soften up a little bit. Okay. And lo and behold, he ends up going to my wife's church. And his wife and my wife are in the same Bible study.
Wow.
So the guy he's threatening to sue, his wife is in the Bible. So it was very awkward. And I ended up taking it down just to keep the peace.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of, what do you say about that? I mean, as far as threatening to sue and all that, I mean, that's part of the gig. You know, you got to put up with that stuff. So
see, as a Mennonite Christian, like I was taught that Christians shouldn't sue. Just whatever happens, happens.
I agree with that. I believe the Bible bears that out. Yeah,
but it's a little more. It's a little more iffy with non-Christians. Like, do you believe a Christian can sue a non-Christian?
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe so. I don't believe you should ever end up. I mean, because you know what the Bible says, right? They want your coat, give them your cloak, also.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't see any lenience for resistance in that manner whatsoever. I mean, if you're not attached to this world and
exactly,
you don't. I mean, why are you worried about gaining from it? You know, so I say passivity's.
So would you rather die tomorrow and go to heaven, or keep living for another 30 years?
Right.
No, I'm asking.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean that's well.
You rather die tomorrow?
Kind of torn on that, and I'll tell you why. Because I like working the fields. You know what I mean? So kind of like Paul on that. He said, "I'm torn betwixt the two. I want to go be with the Lord, but I want to stay here. It's expedient, you know, for the body." So I'm not the anxious go to heaven guy. I would rather spend as much time in this body as I can, reaping the harvest, and then heaven will be there at the end of the game. So I'm not worried about.
Yeah, but you're basically passing up the royal buffet for McDonald's.
Whatever it takes. I'll eat McDonald's for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, if you can get more people at the supper at the end, then why not, right? Why not go a little bit famished?
Yeah, but those people have been chosen before the foundations of the universe. You know that.
Yeah.
You know, evangelism is just about obedience and not about actually changing the future, right?
Right. If you're along the Calvinist mindset.
No, that's scriptural.
Yeah, election.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a big subject.
Yeah.
You know what you ought to do? You ought to come on my other channel and talk theology.
Oh, you want me to boost your numbers?
No, it'd just be interesting to hear what your take is on all this stuff.
Well,
I'm not worried about numbers.
I've probably talked about every topic about Christianity in the last 6 years on my channel. Yeah,
but it's kind of mingled with, you know, I'd rather just hear, you know, your take on it directly, you know, instead of bringing in the atheist mix.
You know, I've only gone on other channels, Christian channels, once before.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that because you're not invited or just?
Yeah, I'm not invited.
Wow.
Christians are scared of me.
Yeah, so that's what I was kind of wanting to do with the MD2, and it's not a channel I don't use. I only got 50 subscribers on it.
But why would you want to talk to an atheist about theology?
Well, why not? Why not? I mean, find out where they're coming from, right?
Well, no, to me it sounds like there's a devilish plan.
Well, perhaps there's a nefarious undercurrent here.
Yeah. I still think
it goes the same for an atheist, doesn't it? With a Christian, if you're not, if you're firm in your position, you should be able to navigate anywhere, right? You should be able to go anywhere with your position. That's the way I look at it. So if you're firm in what you believe, you ought to be able to go into any circumstance and propagate that. Don't you agree with that?
yeah. But when it comes to theology and me, like I think it's no different than fan fiction with Star Wars.
Well, honestly, I think you could teach some of these believers. I think you could probably teach some of them correct theology.
Oh well, definitely. Like what?
Because I've noticed that most of your theology is what I agree with. So it's kind of interesting.
6% of Christians in the United States know basically nothing about Christianity. I mean, only 6% know something about Christianity in the United States.
I would say that's about right.
Yeah, 94% basically don't have a clue.
Right. So I would say that the majority of that's nominal. I'd say the majority of those are nominal.
You should get yourself a little sticker that says "I'm in the 6%."
Yeah, like that. Per Doug.
You should have your own gated communities, like the 6% Club.
Right, I like that. Yeah, then of course you'd have to put the word "called" on that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Anyhow, I'll let you go, Kenny.
All right, good talking to you.
See ya. I do think it's nefarious intentions. I think Kenny thinks that Doug's so close, but he was just taught the wrong theology. Although he said that his theology matches his, so... But I don't have a theology. I just understand different perspectives. Yeah, I'm a lot cheaper than Bart Ehrman. How long have I been going? Remember, someone supposed to kick me off. Start at 10:30, right? I'm only here for 24 more minutes. Have I been going that long already? Time flies when you're leading people to hell. Yep. Approaching 2 hours. So if you're a theist and you want to talk to me, you better do it now. Forever hold your peace. Yeah, that was a good conversation. Just like with the Muslim. See? Atheists, Muslims, and Christians, we do have the ability to talk nice. Dessel Drace. Give me a theory about how life emerged. Do it now. And if you can't, then you're nothing. Then you got to become a Christian. My answer is basically what most scientists say. Primordial soup, right? Mozzarella cheese. You're a atheist. I like you, but it's Theist Thursday. I let an atheist on the other day, and I regretted it. Atheists are just... I mean, they have no foundation. They have no morality. Why do I want to let them in? I want to do marketing. For what? You know I don't like marketing on my channel. You know I don't like to be used as a gigolo. I don't want like people coming on here and promoting their own stuff without permission and then putting a 20 on my dresser and putting 20 on the dresser and calling a cab for me. No, I'm a human with a soul. No, I don't believe a soul. I'm a human with feelings. Yeah, I have feelings. Not very much, but I have a few. I hate marketing. Even my own business where I make money at, I've never really marketed ever. This is all word of mouth. The way it should be. To reputation and good work. Marketing is for like these people who are not really good. I mean, the product's not really good or their service not really good, so you actually have to manipulate the public into using your services. Oh, now there's a cynical view of marketing, right? How's that merch store coming? Was it my daughter kind of chastised me the other day. She said, "Dad, do you know how much money you forgone by not selling merch and doing this and doing that?" And yeah, daughter, you could have gone to college, and not now, because your daddy hates marketing. All these people in the live stream chat, they could have paid for your college. But I didn't take their money. I didn't sell the merch they wanted. I said no. I didn't take all those emails seriously about advertising products for them. Forwent? Is that the word? Flying man shirt. It's community college for you. No, it's getting a job. Depending on how much you make, I had an Excel spreadsheet on this once. But if someone goes in some type of internship or apprenticeship program, people who get a 4-year degree will never catch up, depending. You're like that woman in the New Testament who keeps begging God for stuff.
Please. No, I'm here to market. I'm here to market a new mega media extraordinary product.
Uh-huh.
It pits the best and the brightest against each other in a high stakes duel of wits.
Oh, I know where this is going now. Yes,
I don't know.
the PineCreek Poker Channel.
And I know how much you love subscription models for doing things. So I think we can make a subscription.
Members only. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
It even has a button. It says subscribe now.
I wonder, is it even searchable yet? No, it isn't.
That's important. We need to put a link in the chat here so we can.
I can't even find my own channel because I'm scared if I switch to that channel right now, the live stream will go dead.
Oh no!
Will it? I don't know.
Well, not if you open a new tab, right?
No. It won't matter. Because when Oh, I'm fat there. I'm looking at old videos of me.
I figured. No, I'm surprised that we can't find.
But yeah,
you
so
didn't put a link.
I can't find a link
yet. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's all. I wanted to market.
Okay, so yeah, and when do we play usually?
You should know more than me.
It's every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Western time,
Yeah, left coast time.
left coast. So, anyways, I just wanted to mark it. Hopefully
Okay.
you can find somebody more interested.
Well, by the way,
in that.
who's
Did I lose
usually
yesterday?
who's usually the best at poker there?
There's this guy called what's his name? Daniel. Daniel's really good. And Matt, if you want somebody really tough to play against, Matt. Oh,
Is it true they have a
Matt's,
point system for the tournaments?
No, we don't keep track of that. What do you think we are?
You're doing everything in your power not to say my name.
No, Doug's pretty good, but Matt's better. Matt can beat anybody. He's just gotten really unlucky the last month and a half. But other than that, he can beat anybody. So.
Yeah, I won the tournament yesterday, but I still came out ahead, but I tell you, I lost it all, put it all back on the cash game.
Yeah, I played pretty bad. But well, no, I got kind of unlucky in the tournament, and then I actually got Daniel beat me with the kings, and then, I should know.
You know, we're boring the ladies now, right?
Yeah, that's true. We shouldn't be.
But speaking of ladies, we're looking for token females.
Marketing.
Yes. So if you're a female and you have lots of money and you're kind of okay at poker, because right now it's a bunch of men.
Yeah, and sorry, this is as good looking as it gets in the room, but actually, Aaron, I changed my mind.
Oh yeah, Aaron's pretty good looking. But we are multicultural. We're diverse at least, but except for women, we need women. We got one black guy, one Hispanic guy. Do we have an Asian?
Is it
We need to be like.
Is it Daniel Portuguese? Like.
Oh, we have a Brazilian. Yeah, Brazilian.
Not Portuguese.
We got a couple of Jews. We got one Christian, but he's a flag waving phony.
Melting pot. Get it?
Yeah. Yeah. But we're low on females.
If anybody here is good at marketing better than me, we need a slogan. Doug came up with a terrible slogan that we're not going to
No. Don't bias the field. Okay, here's my slogan for the channel. Hope, meaning, and poker. These young
Mine
kids.
was better.
What's yours?
Better. Capturing call stations. That's kind of bloody.
No, nobody's going to get that.
Yeah, but it's for the intellectually superior.
Yeah, but nobody even knows who Capturing Christianity is. Like, he's so irrelevant.
If we did it in 2012, maybe, or like 2016.
Oh, Callie says he's Asian. I called him. Okay, I don't know my ethnicities well, but we got people who look different than me. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you didn't say better, but you should have said better.
We don't have any Asians. I'm Asian.
Cal shows up like once a month, anyways.
Oh no, he's been showing up more often.
Really? Yeah. I guess I never run into him. I show up for like 5 times out of a 3-week span, and I disappear. And then I get mad because I lose, and I need to bring it all back together, you know?
Yeah.
Matt never does that. Matt goes, okay, I'll buy in for another 500, and then he.
We've had a few people swear and then just click off. And by the way, it's video and audio, so it's not just clicking buttons. It's we're having deep conversation about religion and politics.
You think it gets real on here? You think it gets real on here? Just do wait.
Oh yeah,
Just wait until you subscribe to PineCreek Poker,
which we don't have a link for. But
meaning and capturing call stations. That's what we're about.
It's a horrible name. That's so ridiculous.
It's good. You smiled more for that than I did for yours.
Well, it's sort of like watching a kid trying to juggle. You know, it's like.
Do I have anything to juggle over here?
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go. Bye.
See ya. He saw me reach from the mouse. And he knew he was about to be kicked. Does Deepak play? Yeah, Deepak does play once in a while. All the cool kids are there. We do have some females who show up. We got Lucy. We've got Rosemary once in a while. Erica used to come almost religiously. I wonder how much Doug has won or stolen through these poker matches. Yeah, I wonder. Hey, JN. How are you?
We do have something.
You got to turn off that tab. Okay. There, that's better. What's up? What do you want to say? What do you want to ask? What do you want to do?
I would consider myself somewhat open-minded,
Somewhat?
and I'm curious as to like where you derive your morality from, you know?
Mostly from how I was raised, the culture I was in, and my intuitions.
So I would say the same for me. How do you know you haven't been brainwashed by all your years in Christianity to, you know, in other words, how do you know your moral compass is, you know, let's say aligned to what you believe is objectively true?
By comparing it to the standard.
What is your standard?
I would say that it's unnecessary suffering and net well-being.
So you would say your personal experience has informed what the idea of unnecessary suffering is and net well-being is?
Yeah, and not just my personal experience, but the experiences of others too. Like, in other words, we can learn things about the world, what works, what doesn't work.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, that makes sense to me, but I'm confused as, you know, if I were to hear someone else give a slightly different, you know, version of what they believe is, you know, their personal experiences have informed their own.
Yep. And then you know what happens then?
Say again?
You know what happens then?
What happens?
We have a discussion or a debate or a conversation of trying to convince each other of why one's wrong or one's right.
Okay.
Isn't that how progress is made?
Well, it depends on how you define progress, I suppose. I would agree with that, at least.
Well, I could say, isn't that how we got rid of slavery and got women's right to vote? Conversations.
So I'm hung up on, you know, you could talk.
Are you really hung up on these things, or are you?
Yes.
Or is this a rhetorical device you're using to? It's good. I'm not saying it's bad if that's your.
Well, okay, you could say it's a rhetorical device. I
guess,
guess,
yeah. See, I saw through it, but
so you believe that there's So I don't know. I'm having trouble understanding how you can say one person is right or wrong, or you're so.
But I'll tell you how. So someone says, I'm going to do this, and then let's say I think it's wrong. I'll say it like this.
Yeah.
I think that's wrong.
Oh, okay.
That's how you do it.
Okay.
Now, but a lot of theists, they're not happy with that answer because they need the boss. They need gumption. They need the military might behind them, i.e. God, saying, no, that's really wrong. If PineCreek says it, who cares if what he thinks? But if God says it, now we got something.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who need that because they have this insecurity.
Right.
Are you one of them?
Well, I believe in God and I am a Christian, but I don't.
By the way, I kind of knew that already, even though you didn't come out and say it. But I do appreciate your tactic here. Like you came in with a plan, and the plan was to ask simple questions, which you did, and I applaud it. That I think more people should do what you did.
Well, thank you.
But it's just a little constructive criticism. Next time, just put all your cards on the table and just say, hey, I'm a Christian. I want to talk to you about morality, and then ask those short questions.
Mm-hmm. So I do have another question. Like, would you say you're smarter? You are smarter than what percent of, let's say, evangelical people who speak in tongues? Let's say, like, do you think you're
What kind of question is that?
Well, okay. So here's what I'm getting at. Here's what I'm trying to get at. Like, you trust your reasoning ability, your intellectual faculties. You would rely on those more than, say, an evangelical person who speaks in tongues. Like, would you say that they have a let's say
No, Jan. I'm smart enough to realize that there's people who speak in tongues at Pentecostal churches who are brain surgeons or lawyers who in every other aspect of their life are brilliant, let's say. But in this one aspect, they believe that this Holy Spirit thing is causing them to speak gibberish. No.
Right.
So I can't answer a question like that because there could be, well, I kind of know where I am because I've taken so many standardized tests on the range of IQ. So just in general, if I'm in a room of 100 people, there's probably maybe 4 people smarter than me or more intelligent.
Okay. So
I'm in like top 5%.
So you would say that you would say that those people below you, or even the people who go to these churches, they have something is amiss, something is wrong in their reasoning faculty or their truth determining faculties. Like, you would say that that's true, right? I mean, obviously you've expressed.
No, not necessarily. I just think they're wrong.
Okay.
The reasoning in that they might not have been exposed to people like me asking outsider test for faith questions, and so therefore they haven't they have the capability, but just maybe haven't done it yet to think about the reasons why they believe.
Yeah, I think that's. So I personally believe that's good work in my opinion, right? I think that's pretty important, but your goal is to sort of deconvert, or
No, I would. My goal is to have fun, entertain myself. That's my primary goal. My secondary goal is, I kind of do like the shock value of someone thinking something's true and then finding out it isn't.
Right.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, because from what I watched on your other streams, it seems like you had some experiences of this. You mentioned one with like a pastor where he was, you pointed out he was basically defrauding, right? What was he doing? He was doing like a leg stretching thing, you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
So you would say, if those kinds of experiences didn't happen, would you think that you would still have this sort of channel and be doing all this stuff?
Oh yeah, that had nothing to do with it. I don't know how many times atheists like me have to say this. I was not heard in the church. Okay. Someone didn't gossip about me. I mean, I didn't. I was already married, so I didn't give up Christianity so I could have more sex. I mean, it's none of that stuff. It's just realizing that, number one, allowing yourself the freedom to doubt, and that everything you hold dear and true might not be true. And number two, to ask yourself the what's more likely question, which is, and not to give the Bible, if you're a Christian, not to give the Bible the benefit of the doubt, nor hate it, but just say, look, it is more reasonable that just men wrote this. And a guy who, just because the Gospels say that Jesus claimed to be God, or Paul said that doesn't mean that doesn't even come close to making it more likely to believe it's true.
Okay.
Right? That's reasonable.
I mean, I think that's reasonable. But at what point I've watched some of your other streams, and you've mentioned situations where you ask people, if someone wrote down on a piece of paper that my neighbor is God, and then you kind of build from there. Let's say 100 people said the same thing, or 1,000 people, right? So you're, in your opinion, all the evidence in the world, and you also, I'm not to go from point A to point B too quickly here, but you also, if you were to see a miracle like happen right now, you would instantly believe, you think, like you would sort of.
The way I phrase it is my confidence. If you were to pray in the name of Jesus right now, that my water-soaked napkin would light on fire, and if it did, my confidence in Christianity would go sky high. Then I would have to ask questions like, okay, if this is causation, what version of Christianity is true? Is this God worthy of my worship? And all those other things. But right now, I don't believe your God even exists. And so, but this would raise the confidence that he does.
Interesting. So,
and it's biblical too, by the way.
Like seeing the miracles.
Yeah.
So you would say, like, why would a miracle like that,
Why
Just
would it
because
change me?
Just because it would be so abnormal, it would be so out of the. Because I mean, you could say, okay, if I said God,
It would move me. It'd be the same as watching a great singer or listening to a
Mhm.
great singer. It's like, it's so fantastic. It's so amazing. It moves you to action, and it changes your core being of who you are.
Mhm.
Now the question is for how long. And I do think, I don't think I'm lying when I say this. And I think even the most hard-hearted, cold-hearted atheist out there, like Matt Dillahunty or Arn Ra, their lives would be radically changed if they saw someone who they've known to be dead for years come out of the graves in the name of Jesus. Guarantee you their lives would be different. They're not going to say, but how do we know this is really God? They're not going to talk like that. No, their jaw's going to drop. They might start crying, and their world's going to be different from that point forwards.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like that would be sort of the baseline thing for you to change your worldview. Like nothing, nothing sort of below that level of.
Yeah, my standards are pretty high.
Okay, interesting.
So there's no amount of. I really don't think there's any amount of textual evidence that will do it.
Okay. Interesting. So
you sound like you're kind of. I heard a sigh there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I obviously disagree, right, as a Christian, but okay. I just had another question. What do you think?
I promised myself and my viewers that I would end in 2 hours, and the 2 hours is going to be up very soon.
Well, we can end now.
Well, if you can think of your last question.
Yeah.
The reason why I sensed the sigh there, or I heard the sigh, and the reason why I think you did the sigh is because I think you and I both know that what I require to believe is not going to happen.
Well, I actually don't believe that. I don't disbelieve or not believe that. I would suspend belief on that. So because I think miracles are possible, right? So that's a fundamentally different.
I don't know, but if you and I were if you moved to my town, and if you and I were to go to a cemetery every day until the day I die, and pray in the name of Jesus for someone to come up through the grave every day till the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a betting man, which I sense you are, you would bet that every day would fail.
But like, don't we have to say? So is that what God? You believe that's what God does? That God should just be a healer. If we ask him things, he should give them to us. That is your idea of God, or your what?
Yeah, I hear this complaint often. If your God is real, he can do whatever he wants. He can listen to me or you or not. He can answer prayers or not. Mm-hmm. I'm not demanding a thing. I'm not being greedy at all. I am just letting you know what type of evidence would change me. And if this God chooses out of its sovereign will not to provide it, I will go to hell if you believe in hell, and I will take my punishment like a man.
Okay.
I'm willing to roll the dice. I do not need Christianity. I do not need it. Now, if hell is true, eternal conscious torment, then one can make the argument I do need it. But I don't even believe hell exists. So if you want me to become a Christian, not only do you have to do the resurrection thing, but then you have to convince me the version of Christianity that's needed is this version of avoiding hell. And I think even then you can talk to so many Christians that don't even believe in eternal conscious torment. Like there's universalists out there and annihilationists. I mean, there's so many different versions. Maybe you're kind of tortured for a little bit, or you're refiner's fire for a little bit, and then you go to heaven.
Okay.
But anyhow, time's up.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
How old are you? Before you go, may I ask?
I'm 24.
24. Okay. You married yet?
Still young. Say what? I'm not. I wish I was, but I'm on the hunt, I guess.
Is your name John?
Joseph.
Joseph. So we got a Christian, 24 years old, Joseph, who's looking for a woman. But we don't. You don't want to be unequally yoked. So only Christian women should email me to get your address. Do you play poker?
I have. I could. I was gonna say, I'm not. I wouldn't be the token woman, but.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah, if you want to email me, and we got one Christian there already, you can try to convert all of us.
All right.
Take care.
Well, thank you very much.
Bye. Okay. I know I 5 minutes over, right? Terrible. Don't lower your standards for Jesus. Do not lower your standards for Jesus. Keep them high. You say to God, you know what? These old texts are not good enough. You let God know that. And you let God know that finding your keys after praying is not good enough. You let God know that finding that job that you always wanted is not good enough. Don't settle for tier 3 level miracles. You go for the big ones. And if you're a person of integrity and honor, if you're an honest person who has empathy, hit the like button. And if you're an evil person, if you're a serial killer, if you're a rapist, then don't hit the like button. Those are my standards. Does God have a sense of humor? Well, I do. So if God doesn't have a sense of humor, in one way, I'm better than God. Right?